Mikaru looked down at the large drop into the plaza below her, and wondered how she was going to get down there. Lex found a break in the guardrail and jumped down to the ground below, his staggering height making the drop only minor for him. He holstered his gun and turned back to Mikaru, putting his arms out motioning for her to jump, and he would catch her. Mikaru moved forward, the tips of her shoes sticking over the edge of the wall, small chunks of debris and dust getting kicked off. She looked down nervously. She inhaled deeply and jumped off, closing her eyes. Lex caught her around her waist and spun around, placing her on the ground. Mikaru turned to look out of the expanse of the destroyed plaza. Lex pulled his gun back out, and the two began to make their way into and across the plaza. The area was dark and full of rubble, easy for anything to hide and lunge out in surprise. Ryoko watched them through her scope. They made it through without event, and down the first street, coming to the street in front of the building Ryoko was perched atop. Then just off in the distance, they heard the sickening shouts of "Skibidi, Skibidi, Skibidi." They turned, guns brought to the ready, and saw a group of toilets down the block heading at a woman. Some of the toilets laid in the street already cut down. The woman was tall, at 182.88 centimeters. Japanese pale skin, long flowing waist-length white hair, crimson lips, heavy thick black eyeliner, gray eyes, black military-style dress jacket, metal guards on her shoulders and neck, metal cincher around her abdomen, black long opera-style gloves, long black ankle-length skirt with a full-length high split right up the front center revealing her long smooth legs and thigh-high black boots, and finally she wielded an oversized katana to match her unusual female height, giving her a vague gothic feel and aura. The toilets encircled her as she knelt poised, her left knee on the ground, her right leg outstretched and foot firmly planted on the ground in front of her. Her upper body leaned forward, her left arm and hand turned behind her holding the saya sheath. Her right arm and hand in front of her holding the katana perpendicular to herself, on a flat plane. The toilets moved in, and as they neared biting range of their outstretched necks, the woman whirled about, slicing their heads off with one quick seamless motion, to end up back in the position she started in. More skibidis moved in on her. She turned and stabbed one through the side of the head with the katana. She sliced more heads off of their toilets from just above the seats. The severed heads and necks flopped about like fresh fish dumped onto land as they slowly died. She placed her long right leg onto one of the decapitated toilets and kicked it back, sliding it into more toilets coming her way, smashing and crashing them. Lex motioned to Mikaru, and the two made their way towards the woman, but as they reached her, all the Skibidi toilets trying to assail her had been cut down. She stood straight up. She turned to the right and raised her katana up at Lex and Mikaru as they came close, sensing something was there. As she turned her head to see that they were human, she turned the tip of her katana up and turned to face them directly. "Kuro silk," she said as she performed chiburui, flicking her katana blade, dispelling the blood and gore from it. She sheathed the katana in front of herself and held it at her side in her right hand. "Special task force," she finished. "Fräulein Nocturne," muttered Lex. Kuro Silk walked forward, one long smooth leg sliding in front of the other as she approached Lex, standing in front of his face, but just off to the left. The top of her head even with his chin. She raised her katana, placing the bottom of its suka hilt against the bottom of Lex's chin. "Woman," she said to Lex. "That is a girl," she said, pointing to Mikaru. "Don't forget it."